What do you do? How is what you do different to the way the rest of the firefighting community operates?
It's totally opposite to what everyone's doing here. Like everyone's talking about the aftermath, and it's always the way Western, society works is really based on the aftermath of things and always acting when things are too late. Whereas all the work that I do is in the prevention of that, and it's really about putting fires in, not to save your house, just your house, but to save the bushlands, look after the environment as a whole, and above all, teach people what they should know about the country in terms of understanding fire properly.
When you light a fire, how is that fire different to, say, traditional backburning?
Firstly, the biggest problem in this country is that everyone's confused. And that's been done by different groups. Some people would go, we call this a fire for hazard reduction. And then they'll say, oh, this is a fire for biodiversity. This is a fire for traditional burning that Indigenous people do. When in fact, there's only one fire, and that is the right fire. And fire for your country, your environment, and a fire that is there more frequently. And what I do with the burns that I do, I teach people in their own regions to read the country, understand the land, and be able to see the indicators and the signs on how to manage the country so we prevent wildfires.
Explain to us what fire circles are.
When we light fires, we just don't light fires anywhere. When I teach someone about burning the land, we'll go to the ignition point on that country, and there's a lot of reasons why that ignition point's there. And we burn out, and so the fire burns like a circle outwards. And when it does that, it's a single point, and the fire goes in a 360 degrees radius. Everything can smell that smoke, and everything can escape from that 360 degrees.
So it protects the animals and
That's right. That is the primary thing that we need to be doing, is protecting the environment. Because we can't keep doing what we're doing. We can't continue to sit back and watch hundreds of kilometres of land being annihilated and yet just sit down and just think about ourselves. But in due respect, we need to be looking after our residents, and we need to be looking after our houses. But what's the point of doing that if we're not looking after the land?
What was interesting for me watching that footage was the trees weren't burning and the canopy wasn't burning.
That's right. Those are very fire-prone trees, but we burn at the right time and of the year, and to make sure that they are protected. Those trees need fire. We live in a country that need fire, and what's happened is that we've stopped evolving with fire. Our fire culture in Australia is totally flawed to nothing. As before, even if you go back 100 years, pastoralists and people who are historically a part of land can tell you themselves. There used to be fires all the time, and even Indigenous people would work in with them and burn country regularly. But we've backed up to a point of regulations, land tenures.
So how often are you going around doing that kind of work?
Full time. I've been doing it for nearly 20 years.